From the shadows of the National Palace.
Subscribe all the way to the muddy trenches of politics. This is La Posilga, Politics Pigsty.
Conchemarrano. How are you, my dear pigs, and all other creatures tuning into La Posilga, the pigsty of politics? Here your host, the always bitter, irreverent, rude, reckless, foul-mouthed, ill-mannered, crude, and never well-regarded, but of course very sincere, Camerano, greeting you from the muddy world of news. Make yourselves comfortable, get the mud ready, and don't hold your noses, because today, the rotten smell comes with a hint of rejected German sausage. Let's get started. Did you hear that? Or are you too busy applauding the morning press conferences while the country falls apart in our hands? It turns out the Financial Times, which isn't exactly a publication from the power elite, even if it upsets the lady in charge at the palace, they've dropped a bombshell that has the fourth transformation scrambling to hide it. And on the other hand, everything seems to indicate that the White House is running out of patience. They've run out of sugar, their toothless diplomacy is over, and they've lost all tolerance for this banana narco state that the fourth transformation has turned Mexico into. Let's start from the beginning, because to understand this mess, you have to dig through the old manure. The Financial Times report reveals what any Mexican with two eyes can see in the middle of a mess. And because of his blue and wrinkled balls, supposedly because the election was stolen from him, give me a damn break. A tantrum that cost millions of pesos to thousands of merchants and families, and that also drove the already chaotic capital crazy for a long time. Anyway, it turns out that, according to the prestigious newspaper, it mentions that large amounts of cash were flying in from Venezuela to grease the machinery of the people. Well, the former president, son of 1,000 bitches, always denied it with that little smile of, "It wasn't me." But the ties are so deep that you can't tell where the Bolivarian ends and the Morenista begins. The Financial Times highlights that these revelations are deeply uncomfortable for the ruling party in Mexico, Morena. Although let's remember that back then, the old man Patas Miatas belonged to the now-defunct Partido de la Revolución Democrática, which later turned into that maroon mess. In that context, a former high-ranking Mexican official accused Hugo Chavez of sending suitcases full of money to fund Andrés Manuel López Obrador's 2006 campaign. I'd also like to add something. I know this from a very close source, who actually belonged to the Partido de la Revolución Democrática elite. At that time, not only did the Venezuelan regime provide funding, but years later it also financed certain individuals, like the enemy of soap, the one and only Chango Leon Fernandez Noroña. So you can understand why that bastard still defends the other bastard, Nicolas Maduro, tooth and nail to this day. But anyway, let's continue. The thing is, in that report from the Financial Times, it was revealed that large amounts of money were being sent in suitcases to give it to Andrés Manuel's campaign. Surprise, I never would have imagined it. No one funds 18 years of non-stop campaigning without a job or sponsors. The truly serious part came later. When he came to power, crime and impunity skyrocketed. Meanwhile, his hugs not bullets strategy, almost a tragicomedy, gave control of the country to crime. Mexico always had problems with the cartels, and that's true, but with López Obrador, organized crime became institutionalized. So our brand new president, the Servientific Claudia Sheinbaum, is learning the hard way that technical continuity abroad is read as textbook complicity. Washington no longer sees her as a weak partner. They see her as the manager of a captured system that manages, protects, and profits from organized crime. She claims that fentanyl has dropped by 50%. Please, Tell that to someone who'll believe it. In the United States, they're not very impressed. And with the capture of Nicolas Maduro, Uncle Donald Trump is feeling bolder than ever. The demand is simple. Give me your people. They don't want the low-level hitman caught at a checkpoint anymore. They want the white-collar ones in maroon vests who call the shots. In the Morena offices, their hands are stained with dirty money and blood. Analysts say the United States is pressuring Mexico to surrender top Morena officials, Sheinbaum's party, accused of criminal ties, so that they face corruption charges on United States soil. However, Chachis has denied that the United States has requested those extraditions. I just have one thing to say to Mrs. Time. In time, her submission to Trump was exposed, stopping oil shipments to Cuba. That's how the supposed innocence of the Morenista mafia members will be exposed and smeared. The narrative of cooperation has collapsed. Now the question isn't whether there's collusion, but whether the Mexican state has the will or the ability to dismantle it. The external conclusion is negative. For years, the Mexican government's model was twofold. Outwardly, it showed cooperation. Inwardly, it was all talk. A strategy of appeasement based on selective handovers, symbolic blows, and tolerance of the political criminal infrastructure embedded in local and state governments. That scheme depended on foreign partners prioritizing apparent stability over the evidence. That indulgence is over. And you really have to see the parade of the unpresentable. Just look at the gems of little angels that we have ourselves. A former governor given a Miami office despite corruption claims. Is it a reward or a hiding spot? And I'm talking about the former governor of Chiapas, Rutilio Escandon, who was appointed as Consul General of Mexico in Miami, Florida, by Claudia Sheinbaum in December 2024. This appointment sparked controversy and criticism from political opponents who accused Escandon of corruption, insecurity, and ties to organized crime in his state. Or what about the brokerage firm owned by the former chief of staff of López Obrador, which has been sanctioned for money laundering? About the poison that kills thousands of Americans? Yes, Alfonso Romo and his Vector brokerage firm. We can't leave out Tabasco, the paradise of the cartels, where a former Secretary of Security, Hernan Bermudez, Requena, served none other than Hernan, the big brother of López Obrador, Grandpa Monster Adán Augusto López, who ended up being the leader of a cell of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. What a lovely family they are. So we've reached the crown jewel, because Adán Augusto López, the man they tried to send as ambassador to Germany, well, they sent him straight to hell. You have to be really shameless. The Germans, who aren't stupid or naive, said, Nein danke. They rejected the crook because they know that at any moment an arrest warrant could come from the United States. What an international embarrassment to use Germany as a hideout for a criminal. Shameless. Adán Augusto López Hernández, who believed he controlled the Senate, recently resigned from the Morena coordination, this 1st of February, 2026. He says he's going to the field, sure. Of course he's going to the field. Because the FBI and the Drug Enforcement Administration are already breathing down his neck. The gossips, who claim to tell the truth, say he didn't leave by choice, but was directly notified by Washington in this pigsty. Turns out that in the States, he's been accused of running a corruption network in Pemex during his boss's administration, the Messiah of Macaspana. But that's not all. The little angel still has the heavy, looming shadow of his ties with Bermudez, Requena, and La Barradora, a criminal group that ran things in Tabasco while Adán was governor. These are no longer attacks from the opposition. It's intelligence information saying that the vampire of Tabasco didn't just allow drugs to pass through, but his administration has a gap of 1.477 billion pesos that nobody knows where it went. Whose pocket did it end up in? Adán, in yours, your sponsors, with hats and boots, and arm in arm with the vampire. We have the regime's spoiled girl, the sugar baby Andrea Chavez, that senator who talks a lot about feminism and generational change. She flies on private planes funded by favored contractors. Adán Augusto's fall marks the beginning of her end. She is accused of using health caravans in Chihuahua to illegally promote herself with financed resources. What a surprise from Fernando Padilla Farfan, the same businessman who became a millionaire under Adan's protection in Tabasco. Dear Andrea, immunity is not eternal, and loyalties in Morena are as solid as jelly under the sun of Ciudad Juarez, and evaporate faster than Segalmex's budget. Now that your political godfather is an international outcast, who's going to pay for your billboards? Who's going to lend you the jet? The noose is tightening and the smell of confinement has already reached Chihuahua. Ready for what's coming? Linda, the ranch doesn't smell like power anymore, just confinement. Adan Augusto, immune and armored, quickly packs his political portfolio. When one starts to fall, they'll take everyone with them, because no one rots in silence in a New York cell. The start? Former Deputy Foreign Minister Andres Rosenthal has already warned. If Mexico doesn't clean up its own house, Trump is going to send the drones. And not to shoot pretty videos of Cancun, but to do the job that people here don't dare to do. The hugs not bullets narrative was a cheap tragicomedy that gave the country to cartels. Now, our northern partner arrives to clean up. More voices in the United States are expressing the same views. The United States needs the responsibility of the politicians in Mexico who support drug trafficking. It's not enough to hand over kingpins, because Mexico is governed by a state cartel symbiosis. Their rulers must be punished. If you only punish the drug traffickers, then the state will find new partners in the drug trade. And I think that perfectly sums up the reality. My little piggies? The Drug Enforcement Administration's list is long and full, but the State Department started revoking visas as if they were pizza flyers. In the spotlight is Ruben Rochamoya, the governor of Sinaloa, who no longer knows how to explain that the Sinaloa cartel has him, photo and all, on their wall. Like Employee of the Month, Americo Villarreal from Tamaulipas also senses the ground shifting beneath him. And Andy Lopez Beltran, yes, the Crown Prince, accused of leading a fuel theft network and energy contracts with his buddies. Northcom's head already said it for those without. The fact is, it's the United States Northern Command, which is one of the 11 unified combatant commands of the United States Department of Defense, responsible for the defense of North America. And what this government institution says is that the problem in Mexico is not that the narcos infiltrate. It's that Morena and the narcos are the same thing. It's not infiltration, it's symbiosis. That's how it is, my friends. The feast is served and it stinks. While the welfare maid keeps denying the obvious, their honorable political members are looking for which trunk to hide in. Cooperation has collapsed. Either Claudia breaks away from the criminal structure she inherited from her mentor, or she goes down with the ship while Trump's drones fly over her morning conferences. I'm out of here to see if I can find a suitcase, like the ones Chavez used to send. Maybe then I can retire from this mess. Take care, pigs. See you in the next episode of The Pigsty, the pig pen of politics. I'm Luis Berman, your untrustworthy host, and I'm out of here. The stench of Morena crap is making me dizzy, and I have to go check if my passport is still valid. I wouldn't want them to mistake me for a servant of the nation, too, and end up on a Drug Enforcement Administration list. See you in the next episode of Lodo. Goodbye. This is The Pigsty, the pig pen of politics with Luis Berman.